The midday sun beat down on the small, rickety skiff. The relentless heat was almost unbearable, reflecting off the shimmering waves and casting a blinding glare. The boat creaked and groaned with every swell, a testament to its age and the harsh conditions it had endured over the years. Inside, a handful of men, their faces weathered by the harsh sea air, clutched their weapons, a mix of rusty AK-47s and old grenade launchers. Their eyes, hardened by years of struggle and survival, scanned the horizon with a mix of hope and desperation. Each man knew the stakes. Failure was not an option. They were Somali fishermen, but today they were hunters, stalking prey far larger than any fish. The transformation from fishermen to pirates was not a choice made lightly. It was a decision born out of necessity, driven by the need to provide for their families in a land where opportunities were scarce. On the horizon, a colossal cargo ship, laden with goods worth millions, sailed unknowingly towards them. The ship represented a lifeline, a chance to reclaim some semblance of control over their lives. It was a target that promised a reward, but also carried immense risk. This was no ordinary fishing expedition. This was piracy. The men knew that their actions would be condemned by the world, but to them, it was a fight for survival. They were willing to risk everything for a chance at a better life, even if it meant facing the might of international naval forces. The men aboard the skiff were driven by desperation, not greed. Their eyes told stories of hardship and loss, of families left behind in villages ravaged by poverty. They were not hardened criminals, but men pushed to the brink by circumstances beyond their control. Their livelihoods, their very survival, had been snatched away by foreign fishing vessels that plundered Somali waters with impunity. These industrial ships, with their massive nets and advanced technology, had decimated the local fish populations, leaving the Somali fishermen with empty nets and empty stomachs. Piracy for them was a way to fight back, a dangerous gamble to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. It was a desperate act of defiance, a statement that they would not go quietly into the night. They were willing to face the dangers of the high seas, the threat of capture and the possibility of death, all for a chance to restore their dignity and provide for their loved ones. This is the story of the Somali pirates, a tale woven from threads of poverty, despair, and a fierce determination to survive. It is a story that challenges our perceptions and forces us to confront the harsh realities faced by those living on the margins of society. In their eyes, they are not villains, but heroes fighting for a cause. This is their desperate gamble on the high seas. Somalia, a nation blessed with the longest coastline in mainland Africa, has always been inextricably linked to the sea. The azure waters of the Indian Ocean have been a lifeline for the Somali people, providing not just food but a way of life that has been passed down through generations. The sea is woven into the very fabric of Somali culture and identity. For generations, Somali fishermen thrived, drawing sustenance and livelihood from the abundant waters of the Indian Ocean. They ventured out in their small boats, casting nets and lines, bringing back the ocean's bounty to their families and communities. The rhythm of the waves dictated their days, and the sea's generosity ensured their survival. But in the chaos that followed the collapse of the Somali government in 1991, foreign fishing vessels began to exploit the lack of law enforcement. These vessels, often from far-off nations, saw an opportunity in the unprotected waters of Somalia. They arrived in droves, equipped with advanced technology and massive nets, ready to take advantage of the situation. Huge trawlers, some the size of football fields, descended upon Somali waters, scooping up massive hauls of fish and decimating local fish populations. These industrial-scale operations were relentless, stripping the ocean of its resources at an alarming rate. The once plentiful fish stocks began to dwindle, leaving the local fishermen with empty nets and broken spirits. The livelihoods of Somali fishermen were destroyed, their nets coming up empty. The sight of barren nets became a common and heartbreaking reality. Families that had relied on the sea for generations found themselves struggling to survive. The economic impact was devastating, pushing many to the brink of despair. With no government to protect them and their pleas for help ignored, many turned to desperate measures. The sense of abandonment was palpable as the international community turned a blind eye to their plight. In the face of such adversity, some saw no other option but to take matters into their own hands. Piracy, once unthinkable, became a means of survival, a way to strike back at the foreign vessels they believed had robbed them. What began as a desperate act of self-preservation soon escalated into a widespread crisis. The waters off the coast of Somalia became infamous for piracy, as fishermen turned pirates sought to reclaim what they felt was rightfully theirs. The world watched in shock, but for the Somali people it was a tragic consequence of a stolen livelihood. Life as a Somali pirate is a dangerous dance with death, a perilous existence where every day could be their last. It's a high-stakes gamble where the rewards can be substantial, with the promise of wealth that can transform their lives and those of their families. But the risks are even greater, with the constant threat of violent encounters and the harsh realities of life at sea. A typical pirate gang is a loosely organized group of men, often from the same clan or village, bound together by shared desperation and the promise of riches. These men, driven by poverty and lack of opportunities, see piracy as a means to an end. Their weapon of choice is the AK-47, a readily available tool of war in this troubled corner of the world. This weapon, a symbol of their power and defiance, is both a means of protection and a tool of intimidation. Their operations are often daring and audacious, requiring meticulous planning and nerves of steel. They navigate the treacherous waters with skill and precision, always on the lookout for their next target. Using small, fast skiffs, they speed towards their targets, often massive cargo ships or oil tankers, relying on surprise and the threat of violence. These skiffs, though small, are incredibly fast and maneuverable, allowing the pirates to outpace larger vessels. Once aboard, they take the crew hostage, demanding ransoms that can reach millions of dollars. These ransoms are often negotiated over long periods, with the pirates using the threat of harm to the hostages as leverage. Life as a pirate is fraught with danger, not only from the navies patrolling the waters, but also from internal disputes and the ever-present threat of betrayal. The constant tension and fear of being caught or killed weigh heavily on them, making every day a struggle for survival. Despite the dangers, the camaraderie among the pirates is strong. They share their spoils and look out for one another, creating a bond that is both their strength and their weakness. This brotherhood is what keeps them going, even in the face of overwhelming odds. In the end, the life of a Somali pirate is a constant balancing act between risk and reward, a perilous journey where the stakes are always high and the outcome is never certain. The story of Somali piracy is not a simple one. It is a complex tapestry woven from the perspectives of the pirates themselves, the communities they come from, and the victims caught in the crossfire. For some pirates, like Abduwali Moose, the captain of the Maersk Alabama, piracy was a means to an end, a way to provide for their families in a land where opportunities were scarce. For coastal communities ravaged by poverty and unemployment, pirates were often seen as Robin Hood-esque figures, redistributing wealth extorted from foreign vessels. But for the hostages held captive on those ships, the experience was terrifying. Captain Richard Phillips, whose ordeal aboard the Maersk Alabama was immortalized in the film Captain Phillips, spoke of the constant fear and uncertainty, the feeling of helplessness in the face of armed captors.